Welcome to the Dojotalkpodcast. Please remove them shoes before entry.
Master is here, and you still have not taken off your shoes.
Yeah. Living every day to define man's mission. Looking to the sky for divine transmission. Deaf man's vision makes the blind man listen. Eyes on the prize, this is blind ambition. Thank you.
Welcome to another edition of the Dojo Talk Podcast. We're on episode number 79. It is March 25th. We are recording this at 8:17 p.m. I am back with my co-host, the Anti-Cool. What's going on, man?
I'm thinking about what you God said in the preview to his autobiography memoir about about how RZA destroyed the Wu-Tang Clan. How they don't really talk anymore. How it's like a dictatorship. How you guys not allowed to use the Wu-Tang sign on his album or his promotional.
Oh man, that is so wrong. That's wild because they were just on or maybe not just. It might have been like a month ago. Cause him and what was it? You Got Method, and I want to say Master Killer were on Drink Champs like a month ago. But RZA wasn't there, so I guess yeah. Didn't he drop an album or he put out like a new song?
Wu-Tang or
No,
You Got?
You Got.
I mean, I'm sure he's doing something alongside his his book, but I don't think he. Yeah, he's got an album coming out on the 30th.
Okay, yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw him prepping for something. That sucks though.
I mean,
Like,
he was one of the worst too in Wu-Tang.
but to not let him use the logo.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a bit disrespectful. Oh man, shout out to you, God. That sucks. That is terrible. But
he's like he was very upset because he didn't have proper representation. Because RZA got all the good lawyers and agents, and like he was just flat out his ass.
Why y'all doing You Got dirty like that? That man's out here trying to make an honest living.
But like, I never got the feeling that like the Wu-Tang Clan was actually close. Like,
they definitely have a like we're cool sometimes kind of vibe, or maybe like certain of them are cool with each other, but like as a collective, it's just kind of like, yeah, like I just deal with y'all, but I don't know how much of, at least that's what it feels like now. I don't know how it was back in the day, but
I want to say I heard something where like none of them bothered to visit ODB when he was in jail.
man.
So,
Actually, you know what? It makes sense. I ain't gonna say it makes sense that they don't like each other, but like, cause I know you've seen that one video where like Meth and Ghost were arguing when they were on tour or something. Cause I think they were on like a bus, and like Meth and Ghost were going back and forth about something. So yeah, it seems like a bunch of dudes who are probably
outgrown each other.
Maybe outgrown, but like they're, I feel like they're like short tempered. So like you put them in a room with each other and they're around each other all the time, that just like they're bound to not click all the time.
I mean, like they're from that age of like when like to be a rapper you had to be like a character,
right? And
like that's just not that, like that many personalities just constantly in it's just not meant long term. It's kind of a surprise that they're still doing shit together now.
And I think for them, like, they were really like, I didn't get to feel like they were even really, well, I mean, like they're characters, but they're really like, what's the word I'm looking for? They're about that life.
Yeah,
like they're about that life.
Like New York doesn't make the type of people that the Wu-Tang are anymore.
Right.
And it reflects in the music, but
yeah, those guys are of a different breed. That's a different cloth.
There will never be another OTB.
Not at all. Never. Not at all. Oh man, that sucks though. Give that man his logo.
There will be a million Capadanas though.
You know what? With Cap, we're going on a long tangent, but I don't care.
This thing got 9 albums.
Like, I don't mind Cap. It was just like I just felt like the Triumph verse, because I love that. That might be. It's not my favorite song of all time. It's probably like top 5 though. It's up there. And it was something about his verse that just sucked the life out of that song for me. It just. But it's bad. But I know his entire verse by heart because I've listened to that song so many times. But his verse just it kills me every time I hear it. So everybody else just bodied it, and then he comes in, and it's just.
I'm reading his Wikipedia thing. He's like, he's you God's mentor. I'm like, oh, this makes sense. And then like the very next line is, however, Capadonna went to prison and was replaced in the group by Method Man.
Oh man! Shout outs to the Wu-Tang Clan. Shout outs to you, God.
I mean, I hope his book does well. I might buy it. Fuck it.
I feel like that would be an entertaining read. That'll be an entertaining read. I hope you can find a logo.
I'm surprised he's allowed to say Wu-Tang on the damn thing.
Right.
Because I'm looking at the cover right now. It looks like a self-published book.
Oh boy, times are hard. Times are hard. Oh man, but yeah, it's been a pretty interesting weekend. I'll let the listeners know real quick. I've been really fat today. Like, I've ate a lot of food, and the itis definitely took me out this morning. And I basically today has consisted of just 2 really big meals, and I just had my last big meal about an hour ago. I'm gonna try to keep my energy up. But I'm really tired right now. But I'm gonna try to stay alive for the duration of this episode. And also, quick note before we get the show kicked off, we will be doing like a kind of a women's MMA dedication at the end of this episode that you guys should stick around for. List off some fights that hopefully you all are aware of. But if not, we'll shed some lights in dedication of Women's History Month, so that will be dope. So make sure you listen to the end of the episode. We will probably ring off a pretty good number of fights, relive a few moments, all that good stuff. So yeah, so that'll be going down, and we'll be talking about the Invicta card also. But before we get into that, as always, the podcast can be listened to on YouTube, SoundCloud, Google Play, iTunes. If you're on iTunes, please rate, subscribe. Most importantly, leave a review, and don't forget to share the podcast with a friend. And quick shout out to the top cities. Number 1 city within the last 7 days, Cairo, Egypt. By far and large, number 1, I should say. So I don't know who out in Cairo, Egypt has been hitting the play button this much, but I appreciate it. Number 2, Elkridge, Maryland. Number 3, San Antonio, Texas. Number 4, San Francisco, California. And number 5, Hayward, California. So shout outs to all of you lovely people out there hitting the play button. Appreciate it. Really appreciate it. With that being said, I guess real quick, I'll let you kick off the news of all the fight announcements and good stuff that has been happening throughout the week.
All right. I guess the big one would be Darren Till finally has an opponent and the date. He will be fighting Stephen Wonderboy Thompson at UFC Liverpool, and I believe that's in May, right? Because I never actually bothered to look up the date.
Sounds about right.
Don't be me the liar. Yeah, May 27th.
Oh, my birthday.
Happy birthday. You're going to get 25 minutes of them staring at each other.
You think?
Till tends to slow down the stretch. If he does not knock Wonder Boy out in like the first round, I could see like Wonder Boy just outpointing him for the last 4 rounds. Because Till should be like a middleweight. He is a big man.
Yeah.
So he with cutting all that weight is going to gas him out. But
I was gonna say I don't know why for some reason, and I like Till, so I just got this feeling that fight's not gonna go too well for him. And
yeah,
I don't know why. It's just a hunch.
it's possible. It's possible. But also announced at welterweight, we got Santiago Ponzinibbio fighting Kamaru Usman in the main event of UFC Fight Night Chile, and I believe Santiago, Chile. So that's going to be a big deal. We got, I think we talked about it last week or the week before, or I can't even remember the last time we recorded. But it was, we talked about how Cub Swanson for Frankie Edgar was in the works for UFC Fight Night in Atlantic City. Well, that's official. It'll be the co-main event under the Barbosa fight. Wait, it's the Barbosa fight? Yeah. Also going on, Shogun versus Ustamir.
Oh.
Yeah.
Incoming flames.
we have a number one contender fight. UFC Fight Night 129. Also in Chile. So, I'm just saying, if DC wins in July, this fight could be a number one contenders match with the winner fighting Alexander Gustafsson for for either an interim or the actual light heavyweight championship. So we are 2 Shogun left hooks away from Shogun Champion 2018.
Oh man, the hero we deserve.
He's here to save MMA.
Man.
Jose Aldo has said he's accepted a fight with Jeremy Stevens for UFC Fight Night Singapore. He's just waiting on UFC confirmation that the fight's going through. Jason Knight versus Makwan Amirkhani, UFC Fight Night 130. Wait, is that right? Because I feel like I'm mixing the two up. Nope, that's right. So that's UFC Liverpool. TJ versus DJ is off. And what actually got me is the reasoning. According to Dana White, they couldn't. DJ's recent surgery has pushed back the fight too much, and now they're just moving forward, getting TJ a fight bantamweight. The fights out on the table are probably like Dominic Cruz and Cody Garbrandt. So, be on the lookout for that. Gina Mazzani versus Lena Landsberg is also set for UFC Liverpool. Over in Bellator, champion Brent Primus is out. He will be replaced by Brandon Gertz as an opponent for Michael Chandler at Bellator 197. I keep forgetting Primus is champion.
I was actually kind of blown that he got injured. But like,
are you serious?
I was. This man has been champ for how long?
Almost.
I wanted to remember that he was champ, so I just wanted to see him fight again. And now,
I want to say 9 months.
Yeah, it's been a minute, but he's been so quiet lately, and I was just kind of looking forward to making sure he still fights. But we'll have to wait. But
I'm not even sure he's a real person anymore, to be honest with you.
I'm not mad at the replacement though, man. Gertz is a violent dude, so that at the least, somebody's definitely getting knocked out in that fight. That'll be pretty violent. So I'm not mad at that replacement.
Right. The UFC offered Anthony Joshua $500 million to sign with Zuffa Boxing. Make of that what you will. An ex-Strike Force fighter who I believe is his Charles Manson's nephew, grandson, something like that, now has gained the rights to his remains. which okay, I don't know what he'd do with them, but he now has his uncle's remains.
Probably worth something.
I mean, if I was a fighter, I'd wear like his remains around my neck as I walk to the cage, and that'd be my gimmick. Like, I'm not sure if he's cremated or not. Like, he might actually just be like a full, corpse. But like, you cut off like a pinky, and you rock it as a necklace.
You have to like tie that somehow into your nickname. Somehow you gotta weave that in there. Like, 'cause if you're gonna do the gimmick, you gotta go all the way in. You have to do this balls to the wall.
Wait, he is the grandson. So here we go. I am a grandson working to take proper steps to show respect to my grandfather and his true close friends. You know, those people who helped him murder all those. Yeah. I'm not only doing this for me, it's for everyone who stands firm in the truth of life. I'm just a tool walking this part of my journey out. It has brought a lot of hardship on my life and family at home.
I have no comment on. I have no words.
I forgot. Charles Manson owns a bunch of he owned a lot of the songs that the Beach Boys recorded for some reason.
Oh boy. That's one of the most bizarre quotes I've heard in a long time.
Why does Charles Manson own the Beach Boy songs?
Huh? Somebody has to. I don't know. Maybe in his spare time that was.
Oh, they were friends.
Oh.
That explains a lot.
No words. No words. Oh boy. Was that everything?
Oh no. Porn site Cam Soda has is going to have an MMA card featuring Rico Rodriguez, Alex Nicholson, and of course Crazy Horse. See, Sensei, with the success of Kimbo Slice, who got famous mainly by fighting on porn sites, why have we not seen more of this?
I don't know, but
I mean,
if this even goes remotely well,
I'm
waiting for the first Bellator one. I'm waiting.
What, porn fight?
I'm waiting for the first just Bellator porn card. I mean, you guys already got not NASCAR. I don't know what race card.
I mean, Coker did have the card at the Playboy Mansion for Strike Force.
This is the next logical step.
Like, if they were still Spike, I'd say, you know what, they'd probably do it because Man Channel, but they're Paramount now. They're rerunning like Pitch Perfect 2. They have an image to uphold.
I gotta tone it down for the kids.
I mean, yeah.
You know what's crazy? That card is probably somehow gonna be really good.
Of course.
That card's gonna be epic. Oh boy. I wonder what the.
Oh, you know what? I just thought of another card that was on a porn site, or at least advertised on one, because it has my favorite freaking promo of all time. Where was it Jeff Munson, who just he appears on your screen and is like, "Do you like to see guys get fucked?"
What's going on?
Yeah, Jeff Munson was advertising his fight versus Mark Kerr on Don King TV. And what is the greatest promo of all time? The thing just opens up with, "Do you like to watch guys get fucked? Watch me fuck up Mark Kerr on Don King TV. I'm gonna fuck him up. I'm gonna fuck him up."
I mean, points for creativity. Nobody else is. That market is open for you.
I know Jeff Munson, based on his proclivities for his political proclivities, he probably died a little inside hearing that line. or having to read that line. But I think there is definitely a market for people who like Jeff Munson that way. If the internet has taught me anything.
Oh man, what day is that card?
I'm not even sure it had a date. There you go. Make me look up Cam Soda on my computer.
I'm sorry. Just go to incognito. Oh man, I hope I need to make sure that card happens. Like I hope
April 26th in Fort Lauderdale,
Wow.
And it will be streamed for free on legends.camsoda.com. I feel dirty having just said that.
I'm in there. Oh boy, if we reviewed that one, that would be.
I'm in. I'm down. I'm not sure if
April,
it's April 26th.
what day of the week is that?
It should be a Friday or a Saturday. It's a Thursday.
Oh lord, that might not happen. We'll see. I'll keep an eye open. Oh man, who would have thought? Back in those days when, Art Jemisin's running around with one glove and Hoist Gracie's running around in a gi, some 20, 30 years later, we've elevated the porn sites. That's how far we've taken the sport.
This sport was never classy. You can put all the nice little production tidbits on it you want. You can get you can get rid of Condom Depot as a good sponsor for like low income fighters. But this sport will never be classy.
Oh man. Speaking of sponsors,
Yes.
I need to. We might as well just segue on into it, man. Invicta FC 28 went down yesterday on March 24th at the Union Event Center in Salt Lake City, Utah. And before we talk about any cards or any of the fights or any of that good stuff, I need to know the story of Hannibal Buress becoming a sponsor for Invicta, and his face is in 30 different locations on the cage, and his look ranges from he's concerned to at the same time I'm glad that two girls are sitting on my face.
See, there's that. He's like, I'm concerned. I'm disappointed. I don't know what's going on. I'm tired and old.
Right.
It could be a million different things, and that's the beauty of it.
Oh man, that's one of the most like. I want to know what that conversation was like. How did that partnership even?
I mean, like this is not the first time this has happened. In the main event of this card was supposed to be a fighter, Moradin. God, I can't remember her name. I can't remember how to say her name, I should say. Let me look up really quick. But point being, she was originally Janaisa Morandin. There we go. She was originally supposed to make her like Invicta debut. Way back at Invicta 22, or was it after that? But she either missed weight or she had visa issues or something like that, and it got put off. But Hannibal Buress paid to have his face on her outfit for the fight. So this is the second time he's done this. But this time he's just like, just so I make sure that my face is there, I'm going to throw it on the mat instead. And on the pillar. Because it was on a pillar.
Man. So on the low, is he like an avid fan or how does this...
Yeah, he's talked about it on his podcast where the Handsome Rambler or...
Yeah, see, I've listened. Maybe I just haven't been listening to the right episodes because the ones I've heard, I've never heard him mention it.
There's one called like the Invicta. It's just that's the one I've heard. Like he talks about like getting high in Chicago, and they're going to and watching Invicta.
I'll have to check that out. Oh man, but that's it was kind of awesome though at the same time. Like it was really bizarre, but it was awesome at the same time. I'm not mad at it. It was the UFC doesn't give me that kind of stuff because you guys are over there messing with Reebok and
I'm just saying, I want to know how much he paid because I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but if there is a fighter out there who would throw on the Dojo Talk podcast logo on their shorts
let's make it happen.
for like 50 bones or $100, like message us.
Right, we got you. We got you. Shoot, I know somebody who makes shirts who might just have to get some shirts made. We'll figure this out.
Yeah.
Yeah, if any of you guys are out there, just emails can be sent to dojotalkpodcast@yahoo.com. Hintity hint, hint, hint. We can work something out.
Absolutely.
We got you. We got you covered. But
We don't got
shout out to Hannibal.
we don't got a lot, but we got passion.
Right. Exactly. Passion will carry you somewhere. It won't pay your rent, but it'll make you feel good.
See, that guy from Red Hot Chili Peppers, Anthony Collada, like I don't know. But I'm getting tired of seeing his face all the time at UFC cards. The Hannibal Buress actually paid to have his face on the mat. He is a true fan.
That is true dedication.
Exactly.
I wonder who drew that picture.
Let's see a Red Hot Chili Peppers logo on the damn Invicta cage mat.
Oh, they aren't brave enough. I only want to see Hannibal now because his was just so. I'm afraid of who might follow up behind him now. Like I don't want this to become a trend.
You see, I do because like I want fighters to get paid a little bit more on the regional scene. So like,
That's true.
I don't know if like
There are just certain faces I don't want to see. Like
I mean, like there has to be somebody out there with like a charity or something. Who like what's the one Rosie Perez? She's like an avid boxing fan. I don't think she sponsors anybody though.
that would be nice. See, she would get a pass, but then we get somebody like I don't know, who's somebody I don't really care for. I can't think of it. There's somebody out there who I don't want to see on the cage. But no, they probably don't watch it anyway.
I mean, this is MMA. Like let's be real. We'll end up with someone like Richard Spencer or something.
Oh man, but yeah, shout out to Hannibal Buress. It made watching the fights that much more entertaining. But I guess yeah, we're gonna cover this card in Invicta FC 28. So we will run this from the top. So main event. I'm gonna try not to butcher your name. I apologize. Virna, Jandiroba, and Mizuki Inoue. I forgot this is a strawweight title, correct?
Yes.
Strawweight title fight. So I'll admit, I started off with Invicta pretty strong. I feel like the first, I don't know, like I was with Invicta pretty strong for a while, and then right around when they went on Fight Pass, kind of got out of loop because I just didn't have Fight Pass. So like I kind of tried to keep tabs, but not as much as I wish I would have. So I've been out of loop on who's kind of up and coming and new faces, so on and so forth. But in a way, it was a face that I definitely recognized, somebody who I was a pretty big fan of. So I was pretty hyped to watch this main event. As a fan, it did not go the way I had hoped it would have went. I guess the first thing I noticed, I mean, I know they're both strawweights. There definitely seemed to be a size discrepancy.
Oh yeah, no.
Like,
and mind you, this, like, so for those who don't know, like Mizuki tore her ace, like both her knees. I thought it was
Yeah.
just the one, but according to
both of them.
yeah, it was both of them. So she's been out for like 20 months. I want to say something crazy like that. So this was her return fight, and I guess as part of her rehab, she was doing like weights and stuff because this is the biggest she's ever looked. Like I'm not talking about she came in overweight. Like she looked like jacked a little bit, like compared to like the 20-year-old who was
Right.
in there fighting Beck Rawlings, who was like at least like a foot taller than her, but she still looked tiny.
Yeah, yeah. They look at least a weight class or two apart. But I mean,
She came in like 1 pound underweight too. She was like 113.
man.
Yeah, 113.9.
But I mean, Mizuki was, she was holding her own. It just seemed like one of those fights where it was just like, it just seemed like she was overpowered, and it was the longer the fight dragged out, I was like, I don't know what answers she's gonna have for this. Like every time the fight went to the ground, which there was a lot of that going on. I guess I'd have to give her credit just for like not even getting finished in this fight, because she was in just bad spot after bad spot, but like was still making it competitive, trying to hold her own. Like, but it was just Virna just seemed like she was too much. Like it was just she within like the first not even minute, like 30 seconds of the fight, like Virna sends Mizuki airborne with a slam, and I don't know, man. It seemed like the fight just never really got on Mizuki's side at all. Like she kind of got overpowered. Like I said, she was still like trying to make the fight competitive. Like at no point did she like wane or like quit or look like she was just like giving up. Like she was trying to amount an offense, but it just seemed like she just kind of got overpowered. Like it was too much.
Yeah. No, exactly. Like her eye was closed in the first round. On that ground and pound off the takedown. She did a great job of always fighting back to guard, being defensive off her back, not letting Jandiroba, who is an accomplished like jiu-jitsu fighter. She's beaten Corridella and Amanda Nunes in straight BJJ contests. So like she's a legit black belt. And Inoue did a good job of stopping her from, well, not beating her up, because she did beat her up, but just running away with the fight.
Right.
Quick note, I don't know how one of the judges gave this fight to her.
Oh yeah. So when I was watching this fight, I had stepped out of the room for like a quick second, and I wasn't watching the fight because I was just disappointed when it was over. I was like, oh, I already know she lost. And but the fight is still on, so I just hear it, and I heard the scorecard, and I immediately walked back in the room. Like they're not really about to give this to her, are they? But she didn't get it. But yeah, I don't know what fight. I love Inoue, but there was no way. There's no way with a straight face. I don't remember. Do you remember what score they gave her?
49-46.
Yeah, that's insane.
Absolutely nuts.
Because for the entirety of this fight, she was pretty much on the defense. And it wasn't one of those fights where, like, somebody takes you down and they just kind of, like, lay on you and maybe they just got positioning but they're not doing anything. Like, she was getting taken down and beaten up. And, like, this was not a lay-and-pray performance. So I'm like, I don't get how you could have gave her... I don't remember if I gave her any rounds.
Not her losing, basically 50-45.
Yeah, I don't think I gave her any rounds. Like, so I don't know. That judge just dozed off. Was Bird there? That was a very Bird score.
There was one. The other two judges did give it 49-46 though, so I could be just over. Hyping up a little bit, but I didn't get.
Could be, but in real time it seemed bad.
Yeah.
in real time, it seemed like a very decisive victory.
And big shout out to Jandiroba because she looked great.
Oh yeah, she fought like aside from getting a finish, you can't really ask for a better performance. Like, and it was a 5-round beatdown.
Yeah,
like and anybody else who's trying to come in and take that belt, like, good luck to you.
There's nobody in Invicta who's going to beat her. So I look forward to her getting called up to the UFC on short notice in a couple months.
Yeah, man, she is She is tough, man. This is a very good size for the division. Like, I feel like even in the UFC, she's probably gonna hold some size over some people.
She's listed as 5'2" on like Topology, and let me check Sherdog, because
5'2".
yeah,
No.
Inoue is listed as 5'4", and that's flipped.
No, that's off. That's definitely off. There's no way she's 5'2".
Also, she's got some long ass limbs, like deceptively long ass limbs. Cause they're definitely longer than like how she is tall, like her arms. So and there's not a whole ton of. There are women at strawweight who try to do the wrestle thing from the top position, like just grind you down and beat you up from top. Carla Esparza, Tatiana Suarez, Juliana Lima, but they are few and far between. You feel me? Like, there's not a lot of women with this specific skill set, so she's gonna have that advantage going for her.
And even with those who have that skill set, like I said, if she takes you down, it's not just like, oh, I'm just gonna get a good position and kind of lay on you. Like, no, you're going to get beat up, and I'm going to pass your guard, and I'm going to advance. And I'm going to make this as unpleasant as possible for as long as this fight goes on.
And I'm going to get an arm lock, or I'm going to get a choke, or I'm going to get something.
Yeah.
So, and, like, she is a blue chip if there has ever been one. So.
Yeah. But, yeah, shout-outs to her. Really good performance. I mean, shout-outs for Inoue for, like, just toughing out these 5 rounds. Because, you know, like you said, yeah, like, her eye got closed within like the first round, and it only got worse as the fight went on. But she toughed it out. She lasted all 5 rounds. You know, did her best to make it a competitive fight. But
I feel for her. Like, she lost a year because of she lost 2 years because of injury. Like, she should be fine. She's 23, but like. Her record looks screwed up because like there's an extra loss on it that shouldn't be there because of the DQ and it was a Deep Jules because she came in overweight once. But like she keeps tripping up against just women who go on to be like really good fighters. Like her 4 losses are Ayaka Hamasaki, who was at one point like the #1 strawweight on the planet. And then dropped down to atomweight and won the Invicta atomweight title.
right.
Alexa Grasso, Caroline Kowalkiewicz, a fight she arguably won, who later went on to fight for the title, and now Virna Jandiroba. Like, it just looks like she's too small for the division to hang at the top. Like, she's good enough to probably pick off the weaker parts of the top 10, top 15, but she doesn't have that kill. She doesn't have the finishing ability.
Yeah.
To really be like the boxer she wants to be.
Well, we'll see. Yeah, that was a tough loss, but definitely props to Virna. She held it down. She, like I said, five round slacking if there ever was one. So we'll see if she gets that UFC call. And if she does get that call, good luck to whoever sees her on short notice. You might have a rough night ahead of you. But yeah, that was pretty much the main event. So continuing on down the list, co-main event of the evening: Deanna Bennett and Karina Rodriguez.
Talk about bad scorecards.
Yeah,
the 2 judges that gave this fight to Bennett for the split decision win gave her 30-27s.
Yeah, that's wild. That's wild, especially considering I want to say I think round 1 I, from what I remember was pretty close, but like round 2, like at least from my memory, I might have the rounds mixed up. Karina was getting the hands off.
Yeah,
like she was definitely getting the hands off, and yeah, like a lot of this fight was. You could tell Karina definitely wanted to just keep the striking going. Deanna was trying to bully her around in the clinch, get the takedowns working. I mean, which she kind of sort of did in the first. I feel like they kind of somewhat stalemated in the first. That one was pretty close. So I guess that round could have went either way. But to me, it seemed like in a second, Karina was definitely getting the hands off. Um, she just looked really sharp. I was pretty sure when they went to the scorecards that Karina was gonna win. And yeah, I was actually kind of surprised. And I guess it was weird because it was one of those decisions that I was expecting. Like, I don't know, I thought one of the announcers would make a deal out of it, but like everybody just seemed to be cool, and it made me feel like I watched the fight wrong, or like like I was watching something different than what everybody else saw. And I mean, no shade to Deanna, like it's you're not a judge, so it's not your fault that you won. You know, you just go in there and do what you got to do. But yeah, I don't know. I would have gave Karina the nod, but you know, it's just one of those, you know what, and in my parting shots and shout outs, I'll get back to this with MMA judging. But yeah, I don't know. What did you what were your thoughts on the fight?
I think Rodriguez didn't get enough. Not I shouldn't. I thought Rodriguez won. In my eyes, this was like clear cut for her. At the very least, 2 rounds to 1. I think what hurt her and what kind of hurts like Alexa Grasso a little bit is they tend to get a little bit tentative, especially when the opponent's being aggressive and they have good wrestling instincts. So like, their offense gets a little muted and they become a little bit more predictable, a little bit more hittable. But Bennett, I don't think, did anywhere enough to capitalize on that. She got a couple of blast double takedowns that Rodriguez basically got up from immediately. Like I'm struggling trying to figure out like where she won 3 rounds.
I think, and this shout out to my homie Scott Noble, because I might as well bring this ties in. There's this thing in like MMA where with like judging, where it's kind of like, do you judge more on like ring control or octagon control, quote unquote, whatever you want to call it, or do you judge more on like damage? Because I don't know, it this seemed like one of those fights where like I feel like, I guess if you go on damage, Karina definitely, I don't think anybody can make an argument that Karina probably landed the more damaging strikes. But with Deanna, with her working the clinch and all, and you know, a lot of the fight of her keeping Rodriguez against the cage, you know, you count that as, I guess, control. So like, which one of these are we supposed to weigh more on? Like, what's higher on the scale? Because I guess like with these kind of decisions, like that's the part that always throws me for a loop. And I'm like, I'm not sure what are the judges like, what are they looking at? Because I always lean towards damage. Like, control is good, it definitely counts, but if you're not, you know,
if you're not
controlling
if you're not
and punishing somebody for it, then it's like,
what is your control good for?
Right. Well, yeah, what is it there for? But then I guess somebody else will make the argument like, well, the other person allowed themselves to be put there, and then we just run around in circles with that talk. But
I mean,
yeah,
Bennett allowed herself to get hit in the face a bunch.
Right.
That should count for something.
Karina had a really dope. It was one point, I think it was in the second round, where Bennett had her back against the cage, and she's going for this takedown, and I feel like Karina did like a wall walk in midair to like keep herself off the ground for a split second. So like super flexibility.
Also worth noting, Bennett came in overweight. She came in at 127.
Oh
yeah,
did not know that. Yeah, I don't know. This fight just I wish everybody. I personally, I got, or not a debate. I had a discussion earlier about this. I wish judging was more kind of like one where you judge the fight as a whole and not a round by round kind of thing. Because I feel like in a way that can kind of sort of eliminate these kind of situations. Maybe not all the way, but
like it's still, it comes down to incompetence. I feel like is in a 3-round fight, like I'm trying to think of one where recently where like where one guy won one exchange in the fight, almost got the knockout, and then ended up losing like the last like 2 rounds and 2.5 rounds on like control or something. Like, what do you do in that instance?
See, that's where it gets kind of. And then also, I think judges, and I think not even just judges, I think even fans and people in general you tend to remember the fight as a what have you done for me lately kind of thing. So it's like, I think people tend to forget what you did earlier than the fight.
Oh yeah,
And
like
they just judge it by like, oh, the last 2 minutes they did really good, so I guess I'm just going to give them the round, or I'm just going to give them the fight.
yeah. No, it's really easy to forget the early work. So
But
who knows?
yeah, and like I said, it's no slight to Bennett. Like I said, it's not her fault. You go in there, you just do what you got to do, and the judges do what they got to do.
Mine is no only for because I had to watch a terrible fight with Melinda Fabian at the Tough 26 finale, in which she literally did nothing. It was terrible.
No, see, I don't watch Tough, so
It wasn't on Tough. It was the finale. It was the one where Nico Montano fought for the title.
I think did I miss it? Oh no, I think the only fight I saw on that card was the Nico Montano fight.
Oh, you lucky bastard.
Yeah, yeah. So I probably dodged that one, but yeah. I mean, yeah, tough break for Rodriguez. Yeah, I thought she did enough to get the nod, but this MMA gonna MMA.
Right.
So it is what it is.
Speaking of tough, we have somebody else from that finale / season. I don't even know if she was on the season. Christina Marks.
Oh yeah, well
Milana Dudieva. In what?
Oh, that is the next fight.
And what could be considered the most awkward fight on this card. Which says a lot because there was like 3 debuting fighters on this card, or like how many fighters with one fight previously?
Yeah, a lot of like 1-0s or 1-1s or something like that. Yeah, Milana Dudieva, Christina Marks. It's kind of weird because I was really like, what's the word I'm looking for? I was really intently watching this fight because there was a lot of them. They were throwing with intent to kill, but like nobody was really connecting anything. It was really kind of bizarre to watch. But like every swing, I was just waiting. Like eventually somebody's gonna land. Like somebody's got to put somebody to sleep at some point. And literally, right, I can't remember which announcer. One of them literally made the point right before the finish. And they're like, yeah, they're both kind of throwing, but, nobody's really connecting anything significant. And then right out of nowhere, Dudieva, I think she cracked her with a right. And that was pretty much all she wrote. She ate the right. Marks went down, ate some couple shots on the ground, and that was a wrap. And I'm not going to complain about the stoppage. I know she was reaching for a leg, but she seemed like she was kind of out of there. Like she was done.
I mean, she didn't fight for like the first round and a half of the fight. So what was she going to do now that she was semi-conscious?
I mean, good finish from Dudieva. Like that was a pretty nasty right, and that ground and pound was pretty vicious. So when they finally did connect, it mattered. She got the job done.
Dudieva is out here like working. Oh, she was supposed to fight Inoue on this card, but she fought like 3 months ago. And she got knocked out by Vanessa Porto. So
I feel like her and Mizuki would have been a good matchup.
I think that would have been the right matchup for Mizuki coming back off of injury.
Right.
But not a whole lot to say about this fight.
Yeah, a lot of it was like a very aggressive sparring session, and then somebody actually landed and knocked their teammate out.
And then the coach had to come over and scold her.
Right. But great, awesome finish still from Duty Ava. Put the lights out. I'm always here for some good quality violence. So at least I got a TKO out of it. So I'll take that and be happy. Moving on to the next fight, Pearl Gonzalez and Kaylee Robbins. Pearl coming off, what was the last UFC fight? Cannot remember.
Pollyanna Botella? Yeah, Pollyanna Botella. UFC 216.
Oh, so she had a 2-fight skid.
Yep. She lost to Sith.
Damn, they cut her.
Yeah,
cut her after 2.
wow, that's kind of a surprise.
Yeah, I thought they would at least give her one. Huh. UFC going UFC. Like we said, we don't. Nobody knows how cuts work anymore. You just kind of wake up one day and who knows? Who knows how this works? But
I mean, yeah, because like, what's her face? Kayla Curran got like 5 losses before she was
right.
So
So yeah, I don't know how cuts work anymore, but either way, Pearl made her Invicta debut against Kaylee Robbins. Lots of groundwork, a ton of groundwork going on in this fight.
Robbins was really solid.
Yeah, I want to say I felt like in the earlier like first half of the fight, like Robbins was definitely holding her own.
She was really bringing it to Pearl. Like she was just, but like the thing was, she would get into a position and get an advantage, and like Pearl would like reverse it.
Yeah, she had a really nice. I can't remember what round it was. She completely like powered and rolled Robbins over. I can't remember which round it was. It was really beautiful to watch though. But yeah, man, it was a lot of this fight was, like I said, a lot of groundwork, a lot of submission attempts going on. I think Pearl was trying to lock like an armbar up in the first round. And like you said, yeah, like anytime Robbins would get an advantageous position, like Pearl would just somehow find a way to reverse herself out of it, or if she's not reversing out of it, she's throwing up a leg, trying to take a limb. But yeah, like Robbins I thought did really good for like the first 2 rounds. Like she was definitely holding her own, but it felt like towards the latter half of the fight, like Pearl started to definitely take control. But it was a really fun, if you like if you appreciate the ground game, this is a pretty entertaining fight to watch. Quick side note, wasn't sure what was going on with what was this little thing Pearl was wearing? This gold I don't know what this is. This gold. I'm trying to think of. I don't even know what this is called.
Skirt.
It was really just like distracting me though. It was so bright.
Oh, her skirt thing.
Yeah, that skirt thing was really bright.
I've seen them before. I don't remember where. They kind of look like the tie skirts.
Kind of, sort of, but it's kind of like that, but it seemed like there's something different about it. I think it's just the color that's the
it's a little extra. I'm gonna lie.
Yeah, but it's a lot going on, and I feel like that could like poke somebody's eyes.
That's
somehow.
exactly what Julie Ketsey said.
Right. That looks like it's some kind of like hidden advantage, but it is what it is. But I say, yeah, really really fun ground fight. Lots of just them putting each other in bad positions and finding ways to get out of it. But Pearl definitely towards the latter half of the fight started to get off more, especially like in the 3rd round. But
is my memory like wrong? Because I only watched all these fights once. But did Pearl get on top of her like in mount at the end of the 2nd round? Just beat the crap out of her before the bell rang? Because one of the judges gave her the fight 3rd-26.
There was she was on top at a couple points in this fight. Actually, you know what? I can. Yeah, she did. Well, she wasn't like beating her up. Oh, yeah, she like kind of was. Yeah, she definitely did in the second round on top. Yeah, and she was landing some ground and pound. Yeah, like her Robin's face was pretty. She was wearing it after this fight was over. I remember in the third, I'm pretty sure Pearl got off. And I don't even think it was just on the ground. Like she got off on the feet a little bit. She landed some good shots. Like she punished her in the third. But yeah, it was still a really fun fight. This was my first time seeing Robbins, and like I said, even though she lost, I thought it was still a pretty gutsy, pretty impressive performance. And for Pearl, who unfortunately got, I guess, cut after her 2-fight skid, back in the win column in a pretty intense fight. So
Probably,
I wonder if she'll
probably getting a
end
title
up getting
shot.
that call back. I forgot what division is.
Strawweight.
Strawweight. We'll see. We'll see. Definitely a pretty, I can say kind of dominant, but it's definitely a title shot worthy fight. I wouldn't be mad if she got a title shot off of that. I mean, and she's a name, so you also got that working for her. But yeah, Pearl Gonzalez got a decision over Kelly Robbins. What's going on? Next fight going on down. Oh, all right. Let me try not to butcher any names going on. Mina Grusander and Fernanda Priscilla Barros Pinheiro. I want to say this was the fight, if I remember correctly. Pinheiro was winging a lot of. She was looping a lot of just these wild overhand punches, but a lot of them were landing. And for the first good portion of this fight, she was connecting just with a lot of these wild swings. It's kind of weird because it seemed like Mina was trying to be like I ain't say trying. She probably was like the, I guess technique wise, like the cleaner of the two with the striking, but she was getting caught with like a lot of these just wild hits. But she stayed the course. Didn't, I guess, get made it like she didn't get drug into like a really ugly fight. She kept her technique going. And I mean, eventually it paid off. She was the finishing sequence. I felt like she got her flush with a couple shots. She fell like around against the cage. Trying to remember, somehow they had ended up on the ground, and then she just got grounded and pounded for
A very long time.
yeah, it was. The ref probably could have stopped this fight a good 5-6 seconds earlier, because she was getting punched. She was getting, I think she got like kneed, like in the rib or something like that. She ate some pretty vicious ground and
Oh
pound.
God, I forgot about that. The
yeah,
knees
like,
to the grounded opponent.
Yeah, she was getting she was getting worked. It was bad. Mina definitely put it on her in that finishing sequence. Yeah, shout outs to Mina. This was another pretty fun fight. Like I said, I'm already blacking out on her name.
Fernanda Priscilla.
Fernanda Priscilla. Yeah, like I said, a lot of just these wild strikes, but they were landing. She was definitely trying to like push the pace.
Dude, she's really
but,
fast. Like I'm not sure if that's because Mina is kind of lumbering because this is her first fight at atomweight. She's actually a strawweight who dropped down, and she is huge for atomweight. Like I don't know how much Priscilla weighs, but like she looked like a, I don't even know what you call that in MMA, like a 95-pounder. But really strong performance for, well, I'll say both, because this was like Priscilla's fourth fight in the sport, and Mina Grusander is actually much like Jose Shorty Torres, is a product of the IMMAF. So she's got a lot of experience behind her, unlike Priscilla. So
yeah, it definitely worked. Man, I'm actually rewatching this fight now. She clocked Mina in the first. Yeah, this was definitely a fun fight to watch. But yeah, shout outs to both of them. It was awesome performance from both. Mina with the pretty vicious finish. Oh Lord, speaking of vicious, this next fight.
All right, so before you get into it, this is the fight I fell asleep during, which is why we didn't record last night. The first.
You know what's wild? Oh snap! So you fell asleep during this fight, and my internet went out. I was watching the first round of this fight, and I was so entertained, and then out of nowhere, my internet, my internet just decided that I wasn't gonna be able to watch this, and it just quit on me. Um, so did you get a chance to rewatch it?
No, because what
Oh,
what I
man.
remember was Cal. God, I'm terrible at names. Cal.
Yeah, 50
Cal
cal.
Sports. Yeah, 50 Cal. Just pushing Hansen up against the cage, and like getting off like small knees and stuff. But I was also like, oh, now I'm at the part where they're throwing. Okay, I fell
Yeah,
asleep before this part.
she landed a very a very vicious slam, you would say. And see, I need to rewatch. I didn't see what cut her in the. Oh, I'm guessing that was the third round. Um, because I'm pretty sure that was the last like moment of the fight where like they were pushed up. 50 Cal had her pushed up against the cage, and I don't know if like I don't know if the elbow just kind of like slid across her face, or I'm not sure how it happened, but in this last sequence, the elbow slides across her face, and like poor not Kaylin, Kay Hansen, like the whole like left side of her face is like a complete just bloody like like Mortal Kombat fatality red. Like it was really bad. And then she got taken down. 50 Cal just kind of abused her at that point.
I'm at the part where like she's going for a banana split, and then she tries to turn it into a calf slicer.
God, I'm watching the end of the fight like right before they wipe the blood off. It looks like a murder scene. Like, I mean, and rightfully a TKO stoppage. Like she was getting abused, and with all that blood that was going on, you know, I'm not mad at anybody stopping that fight. But
Oh, there it is. Oh, there it is.
yeah,
That's
man,
the one. Elbow against the cage, cuts open right above her eye.
yeah,
And,
yeah, it was,
oh, then she starts. Oh God,
yeah, it was vicious. It was very vicious.
like those hammer, like
Then
she was
like
hammer fisting right to the cut.
cut right, and like the blood just starts like immediately flowing. Like there's no, it just immediately starts flowing. It was
Shut,
that's one of the bloodiest faces I've seen in a long time. Like
props to Hansen because she is still like hanging on that leg. Oh, and she's out.
yeah,
Yep.
but I mean, props to her corner people. They cleaned her up pretty quick. But that blood was just
Luckily, it was just from that one spot.
yeah. But Lord, it was vicious. But this was a pretty fun, pretty entertaining fight. Um, I want to say is it I'm pretty sure this was fight. Isn't Kay Hansen like 18 or
Yeah.
something like that? Yeah. So that's wild. Like, and I think they even said this during the broadcast. Like when she graduated, like she immediately knew like she doesn't want to go to college. She didn't want to just get a regular 9 to 5. Like she knew she wanted to
No,
go
go
in the
to
cage.
college. Don't be dumb. This sport will not last forever.
But, I mean, man, she was in there slinging though. Like she was. It was a pretty fun fight. But yeah, man, she's got some cojones, man. At 18, you go in there and I don't know if somebody did that to me at 18. That's I'm retiring the same day. Like that night, not even that night. The second I go back into the locker room, those gloves are coming off, and I'm just gonna find another rear path. But yeah, man. 50 Cal went in there. She handled business, made it a real just bloody, just crime scene. So shout outs to her. That was a pretty awesome performance. And all right, this next fight is unfortunately like the last fight of this card that I remember. The other two, unfortunately, my memory's kind of shot. So we got Carrie Kennison and Chelsea Handler. If I remember correctly, Chelsea Handler trains with Chandler trains with Nick Diaz and company.
Nick Diaz Academy. And she throws punches exactly like him.
And she has the mean mug. Exactly.
You think that's the thing they teach?
She oozes of. It's
like they all like this is
her...
like a drill where they have to stand in front of a mirror.
It's gotta be because like it looks just like a Diaz face. Like there's no way at least 2 times a night she's not in the mirror like just
mean mugging.
Yeah, she's trying to perfect that. And from what I heard, I didn't see, but apparently they both had a pretty intense stare down at the weigh-ins. So yeah.
Why does everybody who ends up training with the Diaz's, except for like Shields and Melendez, ends up fighting like them and acting like them?
Well, I mean, there were a lot of, and I think this was her debut also. I want to say.
She did pretty good for a debut.
Yeah, like there were parts of her game I really liked. She's very, I think one of the good things about being like a Diaz, she's very active off of her back. Anytime she was on the ground, she was throwing a leg up. She spent a good portion of the first round trying to sink an arm bar in. She didn't get it, but like I said, she was always threatening off of her back, pretty much the entire fight. So yeah, like that was awesome. But she also, I think she ended that round getting dropped, like right at the last second. And this was weird. I want to say this was the fight where like the round ended after she got dropped, but nobody heard the bell go off.
Well, not the bell. I heard an air horn, but it sounded like it was dying.
Right. So everybody was confused. Like some people thought the fight was over. Yeah, it was really bizarre. Like, yeah, I don't know what happened to the air horn or what. Yeah, that air horn needed some life because nobody heard it. But I mean, luckily the ref was on the job. He stopped the fight, I guess, when it needed to be fight. It was funny because when they normally do that 10-second, whatever that little noise is.
Yeah, they thought the round was over.
Yeah, and they stopped then, and then actually that was not too shortly after Kennison got the knockdown at the end of the first round, which is a really clean left that she hit her with. But this was a really pretty good back and forth fight. Like I said, a lot of groundwork, a lot of like I said, Chandler being pretty active off of her back. But yeah, it was pretty good for a debut. I don't think that was Kennison's debut, but for Chandler, pretty good debut. Obviously, you don't want to leave with a loss, but still a lot of good things I think she showed. So not a loss to be ashamed of. You go back to the drawing board, you'll go back and make adjustments as needed. But really good win for Kennison. Good performance. Way to get yourself out of a lot of just submissions in general. Like she was escaping arm bars. She was getting out of triangles. So yeah, pretty entertaining scrap from both ladies.
Yeah. I'm having trouble remembering the fight outside of like Chandler fighting exactly like she throws punches exactly like the Diaz brothers do. Like the same kind of torque on like the shoulder, the same the same stance, like the exact same stance. It's really weird. But
oh man,
props to Carrie Kennison. It was a solid performance against a game opponent. Did a really good job of beating Chandler to the punch. And just like on the ground, they were a little bit more even. Except down the second round on, it kind of seemed like Chandler gassed. Yeah, not a whole lot really to say about it, except like these early fights, especially, were like really near Hannibal's face. So like, it's just kind of bizarre. Like, it feels like he's judging me.
He was judging everybody. He was definitely judging everybody. But yeah, really good performance from Kerry. Another entertaining fight. But yeah, Kerry went in there, held it down. Yeah, like you said, towards the later round, especially that third round, she was definitely kind of putting it on her. So shout outs to Kerry Kennison, great performance. Um, these last two fights, this is where my memory unfortunately completely goes dead, and I feel bad because I definitely rewatched both of these and I still kind of don't remember them. But Jillian DeCourcy got a unanimous decision over Rebecca Levine. Did you watch this one? Do you have any recollections?
Yeah. Naveen was going for like takedowns. She got them early, especially, but like DeCourcy was just going for armbar, submission holds and arm bars, and like from the second round on, it was just like DeCourcy's fight. Levine kind of gassed a little bit. DeCourcy got on top, landed some really nice elbows from Mount. At one point, I think this was the fight where DeCourcy got um like the weirdest Kimura lock on, and like the Levine was in Mount, but DeCourcy still had the Kimura. So she like uses it to like kind of just like not shove, but like she just kind of sits up out of like from being mounted by Levine. It's really weird. Like she just kind of scoots her hips out and like Levine goes down. But I remember this being a fun fight. And a really solid showing from DeCourcy. I'm always happy when Invicta has like a strong atomweight fight on, because that's the one division that nobody's going to jack any fighters from. So props to both of them for a solid fight. I, uh, for Tracy Cortez versus Caitlin Neal, I don't remember anything about the fight. I think I mentioned this before we started recording. All I remember is Tracy Cortez's freaking tattoo, which is a random man in a UFC shirt and a Yankee hat standing. I'm going to say on a beach, but like there's no beach. It's just like he's like in the middle of the water, and he's just like giving you the thumbs up. And then it's just like her whole left like shoulder / bicep, and I'm like, why?
I don't know. She probably would say, "Why not?"
I mean, I guess it might be a fighter. I don't know, but
Yeah, maybe that's some kind of like dedication or something.
I spent a long time looking at it. I couldn't figure out who it was.
I would hope it's maybe a dedication to somebody she knows. Yeah, if it is just some random made up like UFC tap out guy, it's probably not a good look. But
I mean, she's also like 24, so this might be like an early life mistake.
that is very possible. That is very possible.
I want it to be some
But,
random guy. It's just so she's like, no, it's just some random guy.
this is her created character on whatever that new UFC game is that I've never played yet. But
the third one.
yeah, you performing surgery over there?
Oh,
Hear a bunch of noise and clicking.
no, that's my mouse. And the noise, I assume, is my brother watching the most recent episode of Dragon Ball.
Oh, that was awesome. That was awesome. I'm really gonna miss that show. I mean, it's coming back, but so yeah, that was Invicta FC 28. Oh, you still there? Uh-oh. I hear nothing. Uh-oh. The Dojo Talk podcast is back. If you're hearing my voice right now, you probably heard some kind of sloppy edit to fix the mistake that we had. So we lost audio for the entire second half of the episode we recorded yesterday. So we are now re-recording on March 26th, next morning, or next afternoon, I should say, because we wanted to finish the episode. And we love you guys. Oh, we like y'all. Love might be a strong word, but we wanted to give you guys a full episode. So we're just gonna pick up right where we left off. So we just finished covering Invicta FC. Was that 28?
Yep.
Numbers right. Yep, 28. So moving on from that card, just a few quick notes before we get around to our dedication. Luckily, I don't want to say, kind of luckily, this mistake in recording happened because now we have news to give you guys that was not available yesterday because it had not happened. So, as of today, March 26th, Ricky Simon, who was the LFA bantamweight champion, has actually now signed with the UFC after his successful title defense, in which he put the pause on, I cannot remember the other gentleman's name.
Vinicius something.
Yeah, that whoever that gentleman was, he caught some hands. That was pretty bad. But
Vinicius Zani.
Yeah.
I don't know, Brazilian.
So
They're perfect.
Zani got knocked out or TKO'd. So Ricky Simon will now be the latest addition to the bantamweight roster in the UFC. Also, Jessica Aguilar and Jody Escobar will be fighting at UFC Fight Night 131 in Utica on June 1st. And for anybody else who cares, Tyron Woodley is claiming that his MMA training with Floyd could begin sometime this week. Whatever that's worth. So I guess real quick before, like I said, we go into the dedication, we got just a few mentions of other cards that went on. Already mentioned LFA, but One Championship had a card on the 24th, headlined by Bibiano Fernandez and Martin Nguyen. Bibiano stopped what could have been a historic moment. Nguyen was going for his third title. He is the current featherweight and lightweight champ at one. He was going for the bantamweight. He lost to Bibiano via, I want to say it was a split decision. I'm not sure.
Yes.
I watched the fight. I probably would have scored it for win, but at the same time, it was kind of one of those fights where it seemed like we spent the whole fight just waiting for the big moment, and I think they both tagged each other at least once or twice. I think Bibiano did probably land the hardest punch of the fight, but he staggered Nguyen pretty bad. I can't remember which round it was, but he staggered him pretty bad. I think it was a right hand that he landed. But it was a close fight, not the most exciting bout. I personally thought Nguyen won, but it is what it is. So Bibiano yet again holding on to that bantamweight belt over at one, and also on the same card, definitely worthy of note, Gary Tonin, who, if you pay attention to anything going on in the jiu-jitsu world, you definitely know who Gary Tonin is. He made his MMA debut on that same card against Richard Cormanel. He did not use his jiu-jitsu at all in this fight. I think he made it a point to just kind of let the hands go. And for a debut, man, it went just as well as you would hope. He looked pretty good. He looked really comfortable on his feet. And he ended up, he caught Cormanel with a right, turned his entire body around, TKO'd him, got him out of there in the second round. So really, really dope performance from Tonin. Definitely looking forward to see what he does in the future over there at one. And that's all I got. But I know you watched some of the boxing that had took place. If you want to recap a flatlining that happened.
Yeah. Dillian White almost murdered Lucas Brown on TV, and it was so bad Sky Sports refused to play the replay until they were sure he was not dead.
Oh man.
That is an actual thing that happened.
Oh man.
Like Lucas Brown, I have no idea how Lucas Brown was a world champion. Good God.
Hey, I mean, we can laugh loud, but at least we know he's alive now.
I mean,
I'm assuming he's alive.
I have not heard that he is dead. The last time I saw him, they had finally woken him up and they were giving him oxygen in the ring. Which honestly, they should have been doing between rounds. Like if you're a heavyweight, you should have an oxygen tank in your corner.
We hope hopefully he's doing all right. Actually, other quick note that I saw. Did you see on that same LFA card the guy who hit the flip off of the guy he?
Yes.
So apparently he issued some kind of apology, but
He shouldn't have.
yeah.
It was great. Listen, if you like, what ended up happening is he got knocked down, and the guy who knocked him down ended up knocking himself out, trying to go for ground and pound, like to finish the fight. So the guy gets up, stands on his back, hits a backflip in the air, and gives him the double birds, and it's amazing.
And for people who, if you want to look it up, the gentleman's name was Drew Chapman. This was at the same LFA card with Ricky Simon. Yeah, I've never seen anything like this before.
I've never seen a man knock himself out like that before.
Like he knocked himself out, and then the guy backflips or front flips, I should say, off of his. Yeah.
You see, you don't get any sympathy from me if you knock yourself out like that.
See, I was wondering though when I saw this, if I'm if I'm what's his name, Urban's Ayala. So this is the guy who got knocked out. If I'm in his corner and somebody back flips off of my fighter, that's a cage fight. Like we're stomping you out.
I mean, if my fighter knocked himself out after basically cinching the win, I'd be like, you deserve it, bro. Like, come on, we worked on this. You see, I'd feel differently if the man had, if he had knocked him out and then decided to backflip off him. You see, that's in poor taste.
Right.
But when you do it to yourself, you get what you get what's coming to you.
Oh man. But either way, you guys definitely look that up. It's it's just a really bizarre moment. Thank God for this sport.
This is why everybody should watch regional MMA.
Right.
Support the local so we can have these magical moments.
These are the gems.
These magical Twitter moments.
I'm wondering how long he's gonna get suspended for.
They should give him a trophy and like the keys to the city. Like this man was knocked down and loose and like very shaky. Not even 2 seconds before he stands up and does a backflip.
Oh man.
Like, this is a heavyweight.
If I'm that guy, I'm calling for a rematch. I don't know how that fight was going up until that point.
I mean, he was winning until he.
Oh no, yeah, we're rematching. We're like as soon as I get the ice pack off of my head, we got a rematch. But that was yeah. I don't even know what to say. I've never seen anything like that before.
I once saw a man hit the people's elbow in a fight. That's probably the closest thing I've ever seen to this.
Was that recent?
No, this is from years ago. This is from like some random ass fight in like the Midwest. Like, I think it was actually happening in a barn. But the dude like isn't in the middle of ground and pounding. The dude from side control stands up and the rope's right behind him, so he just goes and like leans back into it and then hits people's elbow.
Oh man, I wonder if anybody has the footage.
I have the gift somewhere.
We gotta find that. That's if you can send that to me, I would definitely put that in the show notes. But yeah, regional MMA, man, it's out of control. But before we get out of here, as I stated earlier in the episode, we wanted to do. We had a nice dedication planned. So just to preface this before we
remember when we had that very long preface.
We did.
The second
We tried to do this. For the record, this is the third time we've tried to record the second half of the show.
Right. So this preface might be shorter than the other two that we had. Hold on. We got the people's elbow. Hold on, guys. I have to watch this in real time.
Jonathan Ivey.
Oh, he watched him do it.
He is a very round man. Like, did you really expect him to try and get up?
I think he was in such amazement that he didn't think that
he's
he
like,
was
he's like, there's no way this man is doing what I think he's about to do.
Oh man, this is amazing. He literally like looked up as he ran back to the rope.
He really did the pump too. Like, damn.
Oh my god, this is great. Oh yeah, this is definitely going in the show notes. You guys definitely have to see this. But hold on, I have to get this off the screen. This is gonna distract me if I keep watching this over. And this is amazing. But so as for the dedication that we have, so I'm gonna have to reword this preface that we recorded twice. So we wanted to do in honor of Women's History Month, just a little dedication to women's MMA, to some of the fights over the years that we've watched and thought were pretty awesome for whatever reason. I say that to say that I guess neither of us would claim to be experts
I don't know
in terms
about anything. So
we are not experts in the field of women's MMA, and also unfortunately, like a lot of the old school women's MMA fights, it's kind of not like it is now, where like everything is archived and in like a digital library. A lot of these old school fights are just really hard to find. Like you got to search all four corners of the internet, and even then, you still might not. They still might not really pop up. So, a lot of, I guess you could say, like OGs of women's MMA, so to speak. If you hear some names that are left out, people you think that should be recognized, we're not leaving them out on purpose. It's not a slight. It's just, like I said, a lot of these fights they're really hard to come by. Some of these fights are online, but they might only have like one round instead of the entire fight. So if you hear any names left out, this is not a slight or anything.
it's
Just
especially like the Japanese fighters,
right.
because organizations that like pop up on both our lists, because I know what your list is because we did this before. But like Valkyrie and Smack Girl and the old Jules, and even I guess the more recent like Deep Jules, like they are. It's just hard to come by if you're not really, even if you are into like the torrent game. It's God, I used to know the dude who used to do play-by-play for like Deep Jules. Or Jules, before Deep bought it, he told me like they were doing like, especially for the prelims, they were doing like no type of video for it. So they were like there are just like a bunch of matches that happen in Jules that we will never see because nobody bothered to flip out their camera. And this is back like when the iPhone was just becoming a thing.
Right. So a lot of these fights, like if you weren't in the thick of it, like literally like when it happened in real time, unfortunately, like a lot of these you just kind of missed out on.
I mean, for a lot of them, like if you just were not there, like you just missed it.
But with that being said, we both have lists both of each 25 fights, and I'll preface, I guess it's pretty much kind of the same for both of us. This isn't like a greatest hits list, so to speak. These are like the 25 greatest women's MMA fights. Like I said, each fight that'll be named is listed for one reason or another. Could be just a great finish, or maybe just like a historical moment, or in a lot of these cases, they were just really awesome fights that I think everybody should see. I can say from my list, before I start listing them, between Fight Pass and YouTube, you should pretty much be able to find all of the fights that are on my list. And also, I would encourage, if you hear any name on either of our lists that you're not familiar with, you don't know, hey man, hop on YouTube, hop on the internet, get on your Googles, do some research, and hopefully we will put you guys on to something new. But with that being said, let's get this list out.
All right, I'm gonna let you go real quick. I answered the door.
All right. So, and like I said, just before I start, this list is numbered, but it is not. It's not numbered in any kind of order. So I literally just numbered these as I was going to just keep a tally of how many I had. So like number 1 doesn't mean it's the greatest fight of all time. As number 25 doesn't mean like it's the worst fight or anything like that. These are just fights that I'm just randomly listing. But anyway, starting at number 1, Elite XC Destiny, Gina Carano versus Julie Kedzie. Number 2, Invicta FC 1, Leslie Smith versus Caitlin Young. Number 3, Bellator 23, Zola Frosto versus Rosie Sexton. Number 4, Invicta FC 5, Sarah Kaufman versus Leslie Smith. Number 5, Invicta FC 11, Michelle Waterson versus Jessica Penne. Number 7, this is the Strikeforce versus Rousey Kaufman card, and the fight is Miesha Tate versus Julie Kedzie. Number 8, Invicta FC 6, Tisha Torres versus Thug Rose. Number 9, Bellator 34, Megumi Fuji versus Zola Frosto. Side note, I know on the record it says Megumi lost. Nonsense. It's another story. But anywho, number 10, One Championship 42, Angela Lee versus Mei Yamaguchi. Number 11, Legacy Fighting Championship 49, Andrea KGB Lee versus Ariel Beck. Number 12, Tara LaRosa versus Roxanne Modafferi. Number 13, Ultimate Fighter Finale 23, Claudia Gadelia versus Joanna Jędrzejczyk 2. 14, UFC 201, Karolina Kowalkiewicz versus Thug Rose. Number 15, Tough 17 Finale, Kat Zingano versus Miesha Tate. Number 16, UFC 199, Jessica Andrade versus Jessica Penne. Number 17, UFC 196, Holly Holm versus Miesha Tate. Number 18, UFC on Fox 20, Valentina Shevchenko versus Holly Holm. Number 19, UFC 184, Ronda Rousey versus Kat Zingano. Number 20, Tough 20 Finale, Carla Esparza versus Thug Rose. Number 21, MFC, Amanda Buckner versus Shayna Baszler. Number 22, UFC 217, Thug Rose versus Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Number 23, LFA 23, Sabina Mazo versus Jamie Thornton. Number 24, Chris Cyborg versus Gina Carano. And coming in at 25, Show Fight 2, Erica Pace versus Chris Cyborg. And I'll just make quick notes of some of these fights and kind of why I put them on the list. Actually, I'll go to 25, Show Fight 2, Erica Pace versus Chris Cyborg. Erica Pace is the only person on earth who can say she beat Chris Cyborg in an MMA match. So, that's something she can hang her hat on forever. MFC, Amanda Buckner and Shayna Baszler. Buckner was somebody who I kind of came across just kind of researching, and she was a name of kind of like I'm not sure if she was like first wave of women's MMA, but definitely in the earlier days, just absurdly tough. And the finish was just kind of crazy because she got Shayna Baszler with some ground and pound with punches that it didn't even look like she was throwing that hard, and Baszler was just like out cold after about 3 shots. It was really just like wild to watch. Tara LaRosa and Roxanne Modafferi, these two have fought 3 times or something like that. And the fight I'm referring to on this list is actually the second time they fought. The first time is the first fight is on YouTube, but only the first round. But the second fight was also pretty awesome. Tara LaRosa, another like true vet of women's MMA who was like around doing this when it wasn't the cool thing to do. Really like well-rounded, just super tough for no reason, man. A lot of her fights were really entertaining. As I mentioned, Megumi Fuji and Zoila Frosto. What do I even say about this fight? Other than Megumi was definitely robbed of a decision that she should have won. All 5 of those rounds are on YouTube if you guys want to watch that. I'm not sure how Zoila got the nod for that.
It's also probably on the Bellator site. If you guys want it all in one place.
Oh, I probably should have watched it on there. That would have made life a lot easier. But yeah, man, Megumi Fuji, just really awesome. Another true vet. She was actually literally one of the first women's MMA fighters that I'd like ever came across just searching online back when YouTube kind of first started. And she's just this small, petite woman who was just grappling people to death. And it was amazing to watch. So she's definitely somebody, if you don't know, to check out and look at her catalog. A fight that it really hurt my heart to put it on the list, but I had to. Ronda Rousey and Kat Zingano. I was not a very big Rousey fan, but I knew my list would be very disingenuous if I didn't at least get her on here one time. And I singled this fight out in particular because leading up to this fight, nobody on earth could tell me that Kat was not going to give Ronda the blues and more. And I ended up getting my feelings hurt in about 10 seconds. Kat Zingano proceeds to run out, and I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know what I'm not sure what that game plan was, but it got her tossed on her head for her troubles, and it got her arm bent in a very weird, awkward position. Got her tapped out. So yeah, that happened. But so yeah, that's oh, and I guess other quick mentions. Miesha Tate and Holly Holm I threw on the list just because like Miesha was always like circling around the top of the division. Like she's consistently just been at the top of the heat, but could never seem to get over the hump. And in that fight, she finally got the belt. I think that fight just kind of encompasses her career. Like she's just this really scrappy fighter who like she's not done until she's done, and I think she proved it in that fight. So that was just, I thought, a pretty awesome moment. And I guess for some of the younger fighters to highlight, Andre KGB Lee and Ariel Beck. KGB went for like 80,000 submissions in this fight, and I'm not sure how Ariel Beck got out of half of them, but she did. Ended up getting caught in the end, but it was just wild watching how many submissions KGB went for. And like Ariel was just bent in so many awkward positions. There was so many times I was sure she was gonna be out of there, and she just kept finding ways to get out. And it was just really, really wild to see. And I guess the last fight I'll mention before I toss it over to you. Karolina Kowalkiewicz and oh god, I lost the fight. And Thug Rose. Carolina's just awesome to watch. When she's on her A game and firing all cylinders, it's really awesome to watch. Like, clinch work is amazing. She's not like a power striker, but when she does get the hands and feet and knees going, it's beautiful to watch her just like deliver punishment and volume. Yeah, man, she like I said, when she's on her A game, it is a thing of beauty to watch. So those are just a few fights from my list I wanted to highlight. And a quick shout out definitely to Gina Carano, another kind of like one of the first women in MMA I pretty much ever came across. Definitely look her up. And of course that historic fight with her and Cyborg that for a lot of people put Cyborg kind of on the map. But yeah, all of these fights, as I said earlier, between Fight Pass, YouTube, you can pretty much find all of these. definitely give them a look. A lot of classic wars like the Kaufman and Leslie fight, or like Leslie and Caitlin Young. A couple of good finishes like the Andrade and Penne, which was just brutal to watch, and other good finishes like the Frosto, Zola Frosto and Rosie Sexton. So all these fights are awesome in their own way, or hold some kind of significance, at least to me. So that is my list, and I will pass it over to you.
All right. First off, just some women who aren't going to appear on my list, not because of like their lack of importance or like the lack of fight quality, but just like this list was literally just the first 25 fights that came to mind. And I thought like great introductions to women's MMA. So like Amanda Buckner is not on my list. Jennifer Howe is not on my list. Yuka Tsuji is not on my list. She should be. Who else? Erica Montoya, who was almost the first woman to fight in the UFC like 10 years ago, is not on my list. Roxanne Modafferi is not on my list just because I forgot to include some of her old fights. Laura De Auguste is not on my list. Former #1 pound-for-pound woman on the planet. Again, not because of any malice, but just fight availability and what came to mind first. And like I've said before, Smack Girl, Valkyrie, hook and shoot. Just lack of access, man. And time. So, no malice. So, #1 on my list, which is about like yours, is not ranked, and but unlike yours, I forgot to put the card numbers in, and I didn't think we'd be doing this again, so I actually deleted my list and had to go back to Google Docs and try to figure out how to find it again. But #1 is the only fight that I would rank that I'm ranking on this list. Joanna Jędrzejczyk, Corey Godella 2. It's one of my favorite title fights. It's got like an amazing arc to it where Godella runs away with it early, but Jędrzejczyk battles back in like the last 3 rounds and has one of the most inspiring performances the champion's ever had to come back from an early drought. So that's the only ranking I have on there. So that's #1. #2. Miesha Tate versus Julie Ketsi. #3, Ronda Rousey versus Liz Carmouche. #4, Sarah Kaufman versus Alexis Davis 2. #5, Rose Namajunas versus Tisha Torres 2. #6, Leslie Smith versus Caitlin Young, the first fight, I believe. #7. Oh, I should mention, I also included boxing and Muay Thai fights by MMA fighters on this list. So #7 is actually Heather Hardy versus Shelly Vincent. Hardy wasn't an MMA fighter at the time, but she would be. I think she's actually going back to boxing now, but after her last fight with Anna Jewelton, which was god-awful, but...
Didn't she retire too?
Anna Jewelton, yes.
Yeah.
She is retired. Heather Hardy is going back to boxing. She'll be fighting in Brooklyn in April, I believe. But point being, Heather Hardy, Shelly Vincent, it was the first televised fight on US TV in forever. It was amazing. I saw it live. Go watch it if you haven't seen it. It's on YouTube. PBC's YouTube channel posted it. It's great. #8, Hisei Watanabe versus Satoko Shinashi. I have 2, but that should be 1 and 2. They were both great fights. The second one's hard as hell to find, but there are gifs out there of the finish in which Watanabe knocks Shinashi out, and it's one of the cleanest knockouts you'll ever see, where she hits the ground and there's no bounce, there's no give, there's no nothing. She just drops like a bucket of rocks. It's crazy. Because, again, Watanabe is like 105 pounds soaking wet. And for her to generate that type of power is crazy. #9, Hisei Watanabe versus Sohei Ham. #10, Hisei Watanabe versus Miku Matsumoto. #11, Miesha Tate versus Kat Zingano. #12, Miesha Tate versus Holly Holm. #13, I have Mizuki versus Ronda Rousey 2, but it should be 1 and 2 because they're both really good fights. Number 14, Kat Zingano versus Amanda Nunes. Number 15, Jessica Penne versus Michelle Waterson. Number 16, Gina Carano versus Julie Ketzi. Showtime's first televised women's fight. It's really weird watching nowadays because it was only 3-minute rounds, so the fight was like 9 minutes long. Number 17, Gina Carano versus Chris Cyborg. Number 18, Angela Lee versus Vivi May or May Yamuchi. Number 19, Mizuki Inoue versus Alexa Grasso. Number 20 is one of those Muay Thai fight between Chris Cyborg and Jarina Barrs. You haven't seen it? Go watch it. It's on YouTube. It's amazing. Number 21, Amy Montenegro versus Celine Haga. Number 22, Alexis Davis versus Shayna Baszler. Number 23, Michelle Waterson versus Erica Tabercio. Number 24, Megumi Fuji versus Emi Fujino. The first one, I guess you could watch the second one, but the first one's a better fight. The second one was, I think, Fuji's retirement fight. And she had already kind of been in decline for a while, so it wasn't a great action affair. And my last one is we're 10 days removed from the anniversary of the fight between Christy Martin and Deirdre Gogarty, which is on the undercard of the Mike Tyson Frank Bruno card on Showtime. It's the fight that launched Christy Martin's career with the mainstream, made her face of women's boxing, and eventually got her on the cover of Sports Illustrated. So very important in the history of women's combat sports.
So we just gave you guys like 50 fights. Well, even though we had a few of the same ones, still double digit fights.
And these fights are pretty damn crazy. Like the Amy Montenegro Celine Haga fight, where Montenegro gets choked out as the bell for the fight is ringing, and they have to wake her up so that they can tell her she won the fight. Or the Jessica Penne and Michelle Waterson fight, where like Waterson's getting the crap beat out of her until she. It wasn't even the best. It wasn't the best armbar attempt ever, but Penne had, I guess, broken her arm or like damaged it somehow, elbowing Waterson in the face. And Waterson was able to put enough pressure on the armbar for her to just lock it up.
Yeah, that was a wild. Invicta just had a lot of those early Invicta cards. There were a lot of good scraps on there. Like, well, kind of sucks. A lot of those streams to crash back in the day.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, like in Invicta, a lot of those early cards, man, there were a lot of good fights.
The matchmaking was legit. Like now I know it's like I think it's Leslie Smith and Julie Ketzi who make the fights. Like, do you remember the story about what happened to Invicta's first matchmaker?
No, I do not.
She was basically selling. She was basically matchmaking for like favors, like sexual favors.
Jesus.
Yeah, and she was like from what I understand, she didn't really know that much about the women she was matchmaking, so she got a journalist. God, not the dude behind MMA Rising, but I can't remember who it was. It sure as shit wasn't Pegson, who was garbage. But there was somebody out there, like it might have been Robert. Matter of fact, it might have actually been Robert Sargent, the guy behind MMA Rising. A fantastic resource for all things women's MMA if you guys have not visited the site before. But yeah, so it was this big scandal. They had to fire her. That's how Julie Ketzi ended up with the job. Like they didn't run a card after that scandal for a while. I want to say almost like a year. But
Jesus.
yeah,
It's a long shutdown.
Yeah, they really had to like restructure and everything. It was crazy. This was also in the midst of them not having a real like home stream video wise. Like there was talks of them going to Showtime, but Showtime didn't want to sign Invicta just so that the UFC could come and sign their stars away. Um, yeah, that's been the thing that's been holding Invicta back from being on TV. Nobody wants a feeder league, and from what I don't think now they might be able to get on what you call it now, Access TV. Now that LFA and RFA Legacy and RFA are just one organization. Because you have to figure they're going to slow down eventually. Like they're not going to be able to pump out 30 cards a year.
Yeah, and I'll always live in I don't say live, but think of that alternate universe that they never signed to the UFC, like where they would have been. They would have just stuck around and did their own thing, and how that maybe could have worked out. Landscape of MMA might be a bit different.
The only way it works out any differently in my eyes is if like the UFC decides to never sign any women. Like for whatever reason, Ronda loses to Misha, or Dana White and Ronda Rousey meet, and he just hates her guts from the get go. Like that's the only way I see that fight. Like that Invicta surviving in the North American landscape without the UFC paying them to be on Fight Pass.
Yeah. But either way, they're still still around, still putting out quality cards. I'm interested to see though what their future holds, if they'll ever decide to like go a different route.
I'm still waiting on Invicta Boxing.
I mean, we got Zuffa Boxing. That's gonna be a thing. So Invicta Boxing can't be too far around the corner.
Just to put it out there, I think Shannon Knapp said it first. Then it makes sense because there are women like Jody Escobar, who I think Jody Escobar fought for a world title, or like one of those small like regional titles that don't really mean much.
Oh, actually, I'm glad you brought her up because we forgot to mention her. Shannon Knapp.
Yeah, you did.
We did? Okay.
Yeah.
Couldn't remember. Yeah, Shannon Knapp is awesome. She done a ton for women's MMA in terms of exposure and things like that. So she definitely needs to be mentioned. But
all the respect in the world.
Invicta Boxing, I could definitely see that becoming a thing.
Especially in the Midwest, where I imagine there aren't a whole lot of promoters willing to take on like women. Because like I think of the women who do get signed, and they're all like, they live in the West Coast, or they won like Olympic medals, or they're like Mexican American, so they think they can just ship them down to Mexico and turn them into like TV stars there. So, like, yeah, maybe we'll see Tarisha Douglas in like the Invicta Boxing cage or something like that.
We'll see. I don't know. I don't say I'd be more excited for that than Zuffa Boxing. I don't know how I feel about Zuffa Boxing.
I don't care for Zuffa Boxing because you know what's gonna happen. They're just gonna all they want to do is make freaking. They're gonna try to sign like Anthony Joshua and Keith Thurman and all these dudes, and then they're gonna put the UFC guys against them, and then we're gonna be without quality, like high quality MMA bouts for a while, as they try to like chase every freaking dumb money fight. Yeah. Either that or it's just going to be like a giant ego stroke for Dana White. He signs a bunch of these like dudes and doesn't have any idea how to develop them, because that the one thing boxing promoters have over the UFC, and I'm not sure if this pertains to like Mick Maynard and Sean Shelby, or if it's just a structural thing. They develop dudes. There's a reason you take 20-something pro fights before you face like a legit top 10 dude in boxing.
All right.
It's because the gap in experience and knowledge is so deep and so specific that you need as many looks as many different opponents as you possibly can. Like MMA is not like that. MMA, you could be on your 10th pro fight and be like a top 10 fighter. I'm not saying that doesn't happen in boxing, but like Vasily Lomachenko still had 400 professional like amateur fights before he ever stepped foot in the pros. It's just such a different system.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
if Dana thinks he's just gonna like wander over into boxing and start promoting world champions, he might actually be insane.
I mean, that's Dana. that's, that's Dana in a nutshell.
Honest to God, I think he's doing it because he's bored. Like he can't be the Dana White of old in MMA because the UFC is facing this gigantic ass monopoly lawsuit. So he's trying to find a way for the frat. You know, I'm I'm a 19-year-old in a 50-year-old man's body, Dana White. He's trying to find a way to have that be his public persona again.
I don't. I never know what Dana's doing anymore. Whatever it is, it just seems like it's up to no good. But we'll see how that turns out. But yeah, that's our dedication. So as always, you guys definitely go check those fights out. Uh, have some fun, man. It's like I said, if you got Fight Pass, just binge, just binge all of those fights. You'll have a good
I
time.
feel bad not mentioning like the recent Bellator women because Bellator's flyweight division has literally been like one of the best things going on in Bellator.
What you got? McFarlane. Trying to think of the other names.
Ducote, Vasquez, Christina Williams. Like it's a very small group of women they have, but it's very fun. Like I've struggled to think of like a bad fight they've had between them at flyweight so far. Like Inoue, McFarlane. I think Anastasia Yankova is really overrated, but like she's still fun to go out there and watch get punched in the face.
Oh man.
Yeah, I guess the only bad fight was Hardy versus Juliton, but Denise Keelholtz is there, Alejandro Lara is there, Value Eternal's there now. I don't know if Gilbert's wife is ever gonna fight or Sabri Single is ever gonna fight, but like they're there too. Like there's fun stuff going on in Bellator's flyweight division. So
yeah, and they actually have a 45 division.
I mean, less said about that, the better. I'm just waiting for like Talita Nogueira to win the featherweight title, so I don't have to watch Julia Budd fight anymore. Like the Julia Budd that fought Morris Conan was so much better than the Julia Budd who fought Arlene Blancal twice.
Yeah, luckily I'm pretty sure I watched at least one of her Bellator fights, but I don't remember them all that much.
See,
I'm guessing it's probably.
I'm gonna make you watch one of them one of these days.
Oh Lord.
You're just gonna tune in. It's just gonna be the audio from the fight, and you can hear me screaming in the background for them to do something.
Oh man.
Speaking of which, I think Arlene Blankel's like a boxing champion, or she's like, oh no, she fought for like a regional title and won.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so
Bellator's trying. Bellator's trying. So that's all we can ask for now, I guess. But that was both of our lists. And as always, before we get out of here, parting shots and shout outs. So as we mentioned earlier, but I'll just reiterate, shout outs to Ricky Simon, LFA Bantamweight champion, now signing with the UFC. It's a pretty good look. Adding more and more talent to that division that just murderers everywhere, and he'll just be another one of those guys to keep an eye on. Shout outs to my homie Scott Noble, who fought at CFFC 70 over this weekend. Dropped a tough split decision. We already had a full discussion on the fight, so I won't really go into detail. But it is what it is. But either way, man, striking looked really awesome. Definitely looking forward to your next fight, and I appreciate the shirt that I got. Shout outs to fighters with quality merch. Pretty good shirt, really comfortable, so I appreciate it. So shout outs to my homie Scott Noble. And from a parting shot, in which I will empty out the full clip on CBS Sports for this God, I had the article up and then I lost it. But CBS Sports put out a list of the top 5 quarterback busts since the BCS era became a thing. And these guys, I don't know who wrote the article, what horrible human behind that desk, keyboard, whatever, who wrote this article, had the audacity to put Vince Young as the number 1 bust quarterback. And I just I don't understand how he's the number 1 bust when Vince Young's record as a quarterback was like 30-17, and he made it to the playoffs. I want to say twice. Don't quote me on that. I know he made it at least once.
Wait.
But
The number 1 BCS quarterback.
so the list was number 1 bust quarterback since the BCS era, because the BCS didn't become a thing until like 98, 99.
Okay, but like I don't follow football or college football, but I get a lot of it through osmosis. But how was the guy who had a psychiatric breakdown and then like attacked his girlfriend in the car not the number 1 dude listed as a bust?
I don't know. This whole list. And I'm recalling this from the top of my head, so don't quote me. I think Vince Young was number 1. Jamarcus Russell was number 2. Ryan Leaf was number 3, who should have been number 1. I can't remember. I think 4 was Tim Couch. 5, I can't remember who 5 was. Probably didn't matter anyway. I personally on that list probably would have either had Jamarcus or Ryan Leaf be 1. Flip a coin. It doesn't matter. Even though I told people Jamarcus Russell was going to be awful. That's another story.
How old is Jamarcus Russell? He's
now,
32.
He's probably like 30-something. He's probably extremely out of shape.
All right, so get Jamarcus on the phone. We're gonna put him in the gym.
I don't want to talk to him.
We're gonna put him in the gym, and we're gonna make him the UFC heavyweight champion.
Oh, all right, there you go. All right, we're going to do another career path.
If you fail at football, just go learn to fight. you don't have to be good. Look at Brandon Schaub.
Oh, man.
Like, even what's his freaking... Yeah. Remember when the NFL locked out for like 6 weeks? Then that big-ass dude from freaking... Was it Minnesota, the Giants or whatever... had a boxing fight against some dude he pulled out of the audience. You can do that.
And they're talking about a potential lockout in like 2020. I want to say.
Good.
So,
football deserves to die.
Go. I'm gonna say this to Bellator. You guys should the second that lockdown happens, because it's probably gonna be a thing. Yeah, you guys might want to
I'm surprised they haven't freaking put an offer out to Johnny Manziel.
Nah, Manziel's he's trying to get his life back on track. He's over here at these pro days they're having, so he's actually actively trying to get back into the league. How that's gonna work out, I don't know, but yeah. But CBS Sports, whoever wrote that article, you're a terrible person. If your object was just to do clickbait,
maybe they hate Tennessee.
Could be that. Oh, quick note also on that. Jeff Fisher's like the worst coach of all time, who Vince Young happened to be coaching under. It's no reason. I don't think it's a coincidence that Vince Young's career went the way it did, and his head coach was Jeff Fisher. Just saying. There's definitely a correlation.
Jeff Fisher sounds like a terrible human being.
He is. Well, I don't know him as a human, but as a coach, he's awful. Like complete garbage. But that's all I got.
I got a shout out. Since I just talked about them. Shouts to Illumile McFarland, who started a scholarship for Native girls in both Hawaii and I want to say, I want to get this right. It was Hawaii and I had tweeted it earlier. Yes, Native. It might have just been like Native Americans and Hawaiians. All right. To provide Native American and Native Hawaiian adolescent female youth with an opportunity to access world-class indigenous education and enrichment programs in Panama. And to start this scholarship off, she put down $2,000 of her own dollars, which might not sound like a lot, but this is MMA and this is Bellator, where I'm sure that's like half her paycheck. So, hats off to her. It feels good. Like, I have to remind myself every once in a while, not everybody who gets into MMA is just like a freak show weirdo. And that there are people.
Yeah, a few good people.
There are people out there who do good. People like Bobby Green and the Big Pygmy, and the Luma McFarland. So like, there are people out there trying to make the world a better place with their platform. So shouts to them. Also, please get her back in the cage real soon. It's been like since November.
Bellator going Bellator.
Oh, also Kira Batara, who also put down money for this scholarship. She also put down $2,000, which apparently covers the cost of travel to Panama. Because I think it's like $1,500. So, shouts to them. Good people.
There we go. People out in the MMA world doing good things. So, yep, that's pretty much all we got for today for this episode. So, as always, you can catch us on SoundCloud, YouTube, Google Play, iTunes. If you're on iTunes, please rate, subscribe, leave a review. Definitely share with a friend. Emails can be sent to dojotalkpodcast@yahoo.com. And if you want to hit us up on Facebook, just go to Facebook, type in Dojo Talk Podcast, and you can find us there as well. So that is all for today's episode. As always, anytime people are being punched and or kicked in the face, we will be there to talk about it. And hopefully we catch you guys soon. Peace.